Most houses in our area come with an in-ground irrigation system. If you have a garden bed that you've added afterwards, there's a very good possibility that that lawn system is not the best way to water your garden. We'll show you how we converted an entire zone of our lawn system into a drip system for our garden beds. Welcome to the Anole Garden. If your yard wasn't designed with a garden in mind and you added it afterwards, chances are pretty good that you have a sprinkler system that's designed to water a lawn, not a garden. There are a lot of ways that you can handle this. We're going to address how we did it with ours, which is essentially converting each of those sprinkler heads for your lawn into a water source for a drip system for our garden beds. There are a lot of different ways to do this. Regardless of what kind of garden you have, there's going to be some way to adapt a drip system from a regular sprinkler. Let's talk a little bit about why you would want to use a drip system instead of a sprinkler. When your sprinkler is spraying your plants, the entire plant gets wet. That encourages fungus and bacteria to live on the leaves of the plants, which can make them sick. You'll often see this in tomatoes where plant leaves will start getting diseased for no apparent reason. A lot of times that's from the fact that they're simply wet and fungus can grow in that wet environment. You'll also find that the process of water spraying down onto the garden bed splashes little bits of dirt up, which is where a lot of the fungus lives. That is often why plants will get sick at the bottom, and then that sickness will transfer to the top, as the bottom is where the fungus starts. A drip system keeps the majority of your plant dry, but it also gets water where it's needed to the roots. For our yard, we have one zone that spans the center of the yard. It currently consists of 4 separate sprinkler heads, and we've already converted 2 of them. Our heads are all connected by one main line. It has a few branches and tees to get to the heads. On the ends of each of those lines, there is a flexible pipe that allows us to reposition the head a little bit if needed. When we built the big bed, we used the closest sprinkler head to that bed and then fed that line into the bed. That 1/2-inch line branches to cover each 4-foot section of the bed. We then used a 1/4-inch drip line arranged in loops to cover every square foot of that bed. We did the same thing with the other 2 beds, but we made it a little simpler by using only 1 feed line and then using 2 big loops to cover the rest of the bed. We also added a section of 1/2-inch drip line under a ligustrum tree with a simple on-off valve. This is kind of like a safety valve for us, in that we can turn this section on or off if we need more or less water flowing to the garden beds. What we're going to do in this video is to take another head and convert it to 1/2-inch line that we're going to run across the middle of the last 2 low beds. While the first 2 designs that we made work for us, we think that we'll get more flexibility in this new design where we're not looping the tubes. We're going to add another section off of that same head to water our squash that are on the trellis tunnel. We'll run a 1/2-inch line over there, and then we'll run 1/2-inch drip line along both sides of that trellis. Finally, we're going to add one more section of 1/2-inch drip line using another head along the fence to water our tomatillos and artichokes. The actual process that we're going to use is pretty simple. We dig up the head that we're going to be modifying and replace it with the low flow adapter. If you've worked on sprinkler heads before, you'll know whether or not you have to dig up the head. In our case, I knew that this head was bound with roots, and I also wanted to make sure that I knew where its main line was coming from, so digging it up was the best option. Dig carefully around the sprinkler until you know where its water line is. Here's our head unearthed, and you can see the water line running off to the right of the screen. This line is flexible and really easy to cut, so be careful until you know exactly where it is. We're going to unscrew the sprinkler head from the connector at the bottom, being careful not to get dirt in the sprinkler line. Depending on your system, the threads at the bottom are probably going to be 1/2-inch or 3/4 inch. The low flow head kits that we use are 1/2-inch, and I know that this head is also 1/2-inch, so I can just pull the old one and replace it with this new one. This is the kit that we'll be using. It's very simply a housing with a filter and a pressure regulator. We'll take one apart later in the video. There are a few different varieties of these. We'll put a link to the one that we used in the description below. It's a good idea to test fit the new head. These heads are designed to stick up above the ground in a flower bed. If you have to run the lines across areas where people walk, you may want to get a sprinkler control box to cover the head and then bury it lower so that you can run the lines under the surface. Since none of our heads are actually in our beds, we run the lines where needed and bury them about 6 to 8 inches deep. If you have a mulch layer, try to get them deep enough where they don't get punctured by mulch when someone walks on them or rolls a wheelbarrow across them. This is a good point to test the flow, as we won't be able to change that head once we hook the lines up to it. Once the head tests out well, we start trenching. We've found that it's easier to turn corners with a 90-degree elbow than it is trying to get the line to follow a curve correctly. When laying the line, I've found that it's easier to just put them where I want them and then cut them as I go. We use a PVC pipe cutter, as it seems to be the fastest way to cut them. Just make sure that the blade is sharp so you get good cuts. We extended this line to the center of the bed, then used another set of 90-degree elbows to get the line into and across the bed. On the other side of the bed, we used 2 more elbows to get back underground, and then another set of elbows to plumb it back into the second bed. We run a line across the bed, and then we use a clamp or cap to seal the end of that line. We ran a second line to the squash trellis using T's and elbows to get 2 half-inch drip lines running along the sides of the trellis. We capped off those lines and used landscape pins to keep the lines where we want them. We generally find it's easier to work with all the half-inch line first and then go to the 1/4 inch. Going back to finish off the vegetable beds, for the actual drip lines in the vegetable beds, we use 1/4 inch drip line with 6-inch spacing. We find it's a good idea to stretch them out beforehand, as they tend to come pretty tightly coiled and often have kinks in them. Once you're ready to install them in the beds, cut them to the length needed and position them next to the bed. Run each line and connect it to the main pipe using a barb connector. We find it's easiest to punch a hole in the 1/2-inch pipe to install the barbs. The tool that we have for this seems to be the most common one, but we're not huge fans of it. We'll link it below, but if you can find something that you think looks better, it probably is. If you only have a few lines to run, you might just want to skip the tool altogether and just use the barbs to pierce the pipes. For our 2 low beds, we're using 4 1/4-inch lines on either side of the 1/2-inch feed line. The 1/4-inch lines are capped at the ends with plugs. We think this design will let us reposition the lines much easier than the loops that we had in the previous design. This is the last head in this zone that we're going to change. This head's a little different than the other one, and it'll give us a chance to show a couple more things that you might run into. For the other beds, we were dealing with individual lines throughout the beds. That's for very densely packed stuff. Here, we've got stuff spread out much further. So we're going to use a different type of line for that. This is going to be 1/2-inch drip tubing instead of the 1/4 inch. And this is just going to let us snake it throughout this area, feed our tomatillos and the other plants that are here along this border. This head, I know, is a little different because I've worked on this head before. The first thing we need to deal with is getting them out. Before you start actually trying to pull one of the heads out, run a trowel down every side of the head. Keep in mind that there is a pipe down there that you don't want to cut, so you need to be fairly gentle. But plants know how to find water. There's a very good possibility that all of the plants around here are surrounding that head with roots, and we've got to free that head up, otherwise you're not going to be able to unscrew it. In this case, I just cleared it a little bit and I can unscrew it. The other head that we pulled out was a 1/2-inch. This one is a 3/4 inch head. It throws much more water and it's a much bigger attachment. Our adapters that we're replacing them with are 1/2-inch. So you might have to get a 3/4 inch to 1/2-inch adapter to add to the bottom of our new regulator. You can get that at any big box store. If you don't know exactly what it is or you don't know what to ask for, simply take your new adapter and your old head to the hardware store, tell them what you're trying to do, and say, I need an adapter to do this. And they'll point you in the direction of these. They're not expensive. So for getting this adapter on, I just take a pair of pliers and do it a couple turns past where I can hand tighten it, and that's enough. And then we simply put that down in where the original head was, and we're going to attach that just like the other one. Now, one thing you're often going to want to do, I do this every time I pull a head out and have to replace it, is take out the head body. So in this casing disconnects from the top. And in there are the guts of whatever it is you're dealing with. So you can hold the body, unscrew the top, and that's the adapter. And on these, there's also a filter. And the reason we want to take these out the first time is there's a very good possibility that you knocked some dirt down into that pipe when you unscrewed the old fitting. So we take the body out, start the sprinkler system, it'll flush it out, and then we can put it all back together. So while we have this apart, some of your maintenance that you're going to have to do is this filter may eventually get a little clogged. You just take the whole top of the body off, pull the filter out, rinse it from inside so the pressure pushes the water back out, and that'll clean that filter a little bit. You occasionally may have to replace these depending on how clear your water is. Also, there is a pressure regulator in here that makes sure that only 30 psi comes out of this head. You don't want to run without this, and this is one of the reasons why they make this kit, is because that pressure regulator will stop your pump or your city pressure from blowing apart the lines that we're going to be using. And there's no maintenance involved in that. And then we just put the whole thing back together and screw it back in. And then we can take our lines, run them out where you want them. In this case, I've already staged this. I know this is exactly where I want it cut. So then I will cut this line and attach it to our T-fitting. We know that not all systems are the same. Your system may be nothing like ours. You may have containers instead of a garden bed. Regardless, those heads that we used, and it's not the only one, there are other types, give you the ability to start a drip system. How far you want to run it, how much water you need, depends on your garden. We may cover some of those future topics in later episodes, but for right now, hopefully we've given you enough principles and ideas to at least start investigating converting your system over to a drip if you need it. If this was helpful at all, we really appreciate it if you'd hit the thumbs up button. It helps out our channel a lot. And if you haven't subscribed already, now's a good time to do so. And if you want a notification every time we come out with a new video, hit that little bell next to the subscribe button. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.